Do,
Do it.
do it.
Do it. Oh,
Sorry. Folks, welcome to the Random Party Generator. This is your panel. We will start in the upper left-hand corner. I am Tenkar. You probably know who the hell I am. Jason to me is the one and only Rob Conley, Mr. Bat in the Attic. You probably know him from Black Marsh or Points of Light. Below Rob is Old Man Grognard. Glenn. You probably know Glenn from a small podcast, known as Thacko's Hammer, amongst other places. And a few podcasts that have been removed from the internet because reasons.
I got tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then this
Somebody-
guy.
And this guy, Mr. Flint Firefort. So now, Flint, you have a zine, correct?
that is true. I do have a zine. It's called Crit Happens, and brand new one is out for this month. It is the Clans of Kel and Kale.
Nice.
Ooh.
Is that another expansion of the setting that you worked on?
It is.
Very nice. Very nice. See, we're not quite the McLaughlin group, but
Yeah, well, we're not going to get angry at it. You're wrong, Rob. You're wrong.
wrong.
Fugly.
Welcome to Crossfire.
Oh my God, Adino, Rob. Of course, Rob's part of the group here. Mark, welcome, and it's going to be a little bit of a hex crawl. It is the random party, so we put out a call for Glenn. We will see if anybody else shows up. There's at least one other invite out there.
You're lucky I just got home 10 minutes ago. So,
well, Glenn, we kept the seat warm for you. I figured.
I thought I sat in something.
You can't. Ooh.
We didn't say how we kept it warm. So,
Hey, you.
So I have something interesting to show.
All right.
So I decided to that I was looking on Amazon, and somehow in my result they were showing replica coins, medieval coins.
Oh, okay.
But they were like mostly all pirate related, and they're like big $50 size coins.
Pieces
And
of eights, all that.
yeah. But I found a site on SD that make historical silver pennies.
All right.
Oh,
Hold
wow.
on. Hold on. Let me embiggen you.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it was a reasonable price. All this in my hand was $20.
Wow.
Well, that's not bad.
And historically, typically laborers will get one of these per day, working 24 days out of 30 days of the month. And I have 36D, because that's the notation for a silver penny. So this would be a month and a half wages for a laborer. Or for a basic man-at-arms, spearman in the medieval army, this would be 1 month's pay.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, that's a hell of a visual.
Yeah, so I thought, so now I own a little prop just because.
That's
I
fine.
need a prop.
Michael, welcome. So,
Also, they were $20 and they're metal. They're not plastic.
Nice.
yeah, well, I've gotten coins via certain Kickstarters that have been like fantasy coinage, and it's aged or whatever, and I've been happy with the quality of these. Some have been bronze, some have been copper, but I have what am I going to do with them? I have no clue.
Have you ever used a prominent prop in a campaign? I'm not just talking about printing out stuff, but I mean something like the coins, something physical like that.
Sure. Mostly, diorama stuff for the miniatures, but I have. Well, it's kind of like printing out, but I actually did it by hand. I have made writs and stuff with calligraphy when I still had all the pens and inks.
I remember when I was running a pirate campaign, 50 Fathoms, my friend had a replica flintlock pistol, and I would use that sitting behind the screen there. Now, this thing couldn't fire, but the handle was weighted. So if anybody got in my face, bam, right on the head.
Zach,
So
I believe Rob said they're about a dime, right? They weigh about a dime, sized about
they're
a dime.
they're
They
about
look about
their size about they're about the size of a dime and weigh a little bit more than a dime. They're a little bit thicker than a dime. So, well, speaking of physical, I had a player made a physical prop one time. He
Oh,
was
yeah?
so tickled pink that he finally got to open up his potion shop in the city state of Invincible Overlord, and one of his big hobbies is woodcrafting. So he made this beautiful sign, just like if it would be if his shop actually existed, and it was Marcus's Potion. We sell potions cheap, and he holds it up, and we all bust out laughing because it was this beautifully crafted, hand carved, wood crafted sign, and he spells cheap, CHEEP, and he said, "Why are you laughing? Read your word cheap." And he looks at it, and I swear he does. Oh, that just
But you know what? That's probably accurate because you've got to figure most of those, sellers are barely literate, right? So his character is probably barely literate. Well, I guess potions you want to be able to spell it properly. I guess you don't want an illiterate potion. So
Maybe there's a potion for right spelling.
There you
yeah, back in the day, I tried when you would read articles about how to make your own parchment like paper using tea bags and let the teas. I did it. My players didn't give a flying.
I used instant coffee and cold water. Worked fine.
My players didn't care. They were like, whatever. They weren't into the props. Let them get into the game and kill shit. That's fine.
So if I can interject something, Mr. Gunn mentioned he liked my interview with Jim on Castle Icon, so I gave you a link.
Yep,
Uh,
got it.
and the nice thing about this interview is it was done in my workshop. He lives locally to me, and he does PR for Columbia Games. He runs their social media, and he wanted to do an in-person interview, so you get to see me in my workshop.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. So,
you know what I always wanted to do for little kids if I was running a D&D game or something? Buy about 5 or 6 rolls at like Walgreens or something of the Necco candies.
Huh.
And I'd take out all the silver and the yellow ones and put them in bags for you found 5 gold pieces. Here you go.
Dude, you couldn't pay me to eat a Necco candy at this
I love them.
Oh my God. If I wanted to eat chalk, I'd just buy the chalk straight
Well,
out.
they're the same people who used to make the conversation hearts for Valentine's. I love those too.
See, I can't stand it. The closest I'll go is Smarties. Those will go with. But the Necco. Oh my God, that's like diabetes and
I
pill
still buy
form.
a couple of rolls every once in a while.
Ah, bless you, my son. You see, Flint is just keeping his mouth shut. He's not saying. He's just smiling.
That scares us. Yes.
It is dangerous. But and folks, the random party is pretty much like not even like a hex crawl. We're like a sandbox. You don't know where we're gonna go. We don't know where we're
Random
gonna go.
party, 4 guys who still needs a magic user.
Well, speaking not knowing where we're going, actually, you're going somewhere in brave territory. You're doing a history of the OSR series.
That's right.
It's brave territory because how the OSR started and where we are now is going to be a hell of a ride because there are And listen, I got to say the quote arguments going on on the YouTube videos about what the OSR is, and people saying it should include pretty much anything in the kitchen sink. There were some valid arguments to that, and even I found myself in 2017 on my blog post talking about how the OSR is an onion with layers. Don't even ask me. I'm probably going to do a video on my own crackpot theory. But yeah, and Rob, it was great to find that you had already done some of the research. As I'm doing the research, it's like, oh, hey, Rob.
I know. I have my blog is littered with posts commenting on various topics because I noticed around 11, between 2010 and 2012, I noticed people were forgetting shit, and this is only eight. We were 8 years in.
Right.
No, 6 years in by that point, and people were already forgetting shit. That no, this is not how it was. And but if you want I wouldn't say a crackpot theory, but there is, I think, a universal explanation. It's very simple, but people don't want to believe it. Is the OSR is what it is because the hack that started it, Matt Finch, realizing that you could take the D20 SRD and come out with an RPG that was very close, far closer than anyone could imagine to ADD and 1E, and Chris Kahneman pretty much doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
That hack is easily replicatable. Well, it's easy to conceptualize how you replicate it. To actually do it well, it takes a fair amount of work, as many found out. But once that broke open the dam, so to speak. So the OSR can be summed up as the whims of all these individual authors and whatever they thought best to do creatively with the classic edition. Some adhered really closely. Knights and Knaves, some of the Dragonfoot people. Some of them cut loose.
Right.
Goodman Games and the DC RPG. They didn't make a retro clone, but they took inspiration from the sources
Right.
of and decided to make that. And so it doesn't help with specifics, obviously, and nobody wants to hear it because what does that mean for the researcher? Well, that means you got to go research what I thought, what you thought, Eric, what Matt thought, what all Gunnerman thought, what Stuart, all these guys with their individual quirks and often conflicting agendas doing their things and trying to make sense of it. Well, the sense of it is we have the creative freedom to do what we want. And thanks to technology, we could do it in the form that we want, except for box set. Some of us crashed our ship on that show. It took a little bit of work to figure that one out with the budget we had.
Rob, listening to you tell it, I get David Hargrave vibes for some reason.
Oh, that's an interesting parallel.
Yeah,
Why David Hargrave?
Well, I'm thinking of Arduin because that was kind of a clone type.
Oh, it was
type thing.
It was a hack.
It was way before.
It took D&D and Spinal Tapped it. It's like D&D. If D&D could go to 11 and took the Gonzo aspect and went Super Gonzo. But again, it's interesting to go back and even seeing that in 2004, the first reference to what was the OSR was Old School Revival. First, again, Rob found that, and then by 2006, it was commonly being used as Old School Renaissance, and then Fight On magazine cemented it.
Now you did miss one thing, I think. I hesitated to comment on that until you got further in, but you're missing the Lulu store, which called itself. Oh God, now I'm terrible. It's called itself. I had it recorded on a web page, luckily, but it's called itself the OSR storefront, and I think that really sealed the deal as far as those of us using OSR colloquially to kind of refer, even though we still argued what the R meant and what the OSR meant, and whether it was strictly classic D&D or more expansive. And
Well, I mean,
but there was the
the first,
OSR storefront, which when I noted people really started calling it the OSR.
I mean, for my definition, I would say the OSR almost you wouldn't have the OSR if you didn't have the SRD.
This is true.
Okay, if you didn't have the SRD is what allowed others to take prior work, and I don't believe that Ryan Dancy had the intentions of folks making clones, let alone derivative systems from the SRD. He thought it was
Wait, Eric. I bet he went, dude, I didn't intend that.
yeah, and it's like, oh shit. And I think that oh shit moment happened with Castles and Crusades.
Yeah.
I think Castles and Crusades was the moment where Watsy was like, I guess you could. Is that legal?
And that is third edition done right.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Listen, I refer to Castles and Crusades as the Rosetta Stone of old school gaming because it's something that you could use that to play a BX adventure or third edition adventure.
Yep.
And minimal fudging to get the things working right, and play it with Castles and Crusades. And once you have Castles and Crusades, then you can look at 3X and go, oh, it can be melded into an old school game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know why nobody saw it at the time. They're all too busy playing D20 and 3.3.5.
Well, I remember D20 was the D20 license, okay, which anybody gaming today who came in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, you probably, unless you find lots of fast forward entertainment on eBay selling at $1 a book, been there. When you get an eBay package with 25 fast forward entertainment books delivered to your house, and you start realizing it's it's a 24-page hardback for one magic item, you start going, oh, no wonder this stuff is shit. I literally threw out like 24 out of 25 pieces of my eBay purchase on that one.
Oh gosh.
So I got something for you, Eric, that I gave you the link for it, but I'll share my screen.
And during the OS, go ahead.
I have not changed this since I made it in the early 2010s.
Let's take a look.
These are all links. Now, a lot of them don't work anymore. But for example, right here is the old school publishing.
Oh yeah.
On Lulu, and this means we might be able to go here. We might be able to go here. Yep, we have a screen capture. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mike. Fast forward sucked. It sucked.
There it is. This is it. This is what I consider the genesis of. Now people were calling it. There's an old school Renaissance going on, but this really started people saying, "Yeah, we are the OSR."
Yep.
Thank you, Wayback Machine. Wow.
This is my stuff. Fight on. There's 6 pages, and the guy finally had to give up.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
But yeah, it had it. And the other resource I recommend, Eric, is in the. I'll go to my website here, my blog. Up here is Hordes and Horde, an OSR timeline. Now it peters out after April of 2012, but between the year 2000 and April of 2012, it is literally a comprehensive of everything that was done for classic D&D.
Well, and that's the formative years, right?
Yep.
That's the time frame where this stuff was growing like weed. So, Rob, I will ask you to send me that link offline when we're done with this, because
Wow.
it'll be very useful for what I am trying to do. Because listen, our favorite curmudgeon, Joe the lawyer, is the one that got all bent out of shape.
Oh, he does that a lot.
Yeah, I know. But when Questing Beast was defining what the OSR was, and you're like, ah!
You know what? Question Beat got some of it right, some of it wrong. But you
Right.
know what? Everybody's entitled, new or old, to to do the same thing that Matt Finch did, the same thing that Chris Connerman, and do their own take. Of course, we reserve the right to caution and warn, and of course, above all, to mock. So, doesn't mean it's not going to be immune from mockery, but they have the right to do it their own take. Every
Oh, and
every
certainly.
generation does.
But but that's what made me say, listen, I want to go back and give a history of the OSR. I'm not going to, went over Matt's old school primer, went over the history, went over how did we get Hackmaster, went over Home 77, which is a forgotten. It's how Home 77 is essentially how I got to meet Glenn,
Oh,
right?
Really?
when did that come out? I mean, let's see. Home. I'm going to
Home
do a
70,
search.
Home 70.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Vince threw us both in a room.
No. So what happened was
Must be
um,
after 2012.
Home 77 was a retro clone of the Home's basic set, but
Mhm.
it took things up to like level 9. And then it was abandoned within a year. And when it was abandoned, the project was abandoned. It was on Dragon's Foot. Vince came in, took over the project with permission of the creator, but then put his name on everything. And nothing
Oh,
had changed.
I,
Mazes and Perils. Mazes and Perils.
Amazing. Thank you. I worked on the book. I couldn't even
Yeah.
think of the title.
And I called Vince a few choice words. Um, uh,
Thus, a friendship was born.
yes, I may have called him a platypus. There we go, a platypus. But Glenn came in and is like, we got to work this out. And actually, what happened is Vince rewrote Home 77, and Mazes and Perils the next year or 2 years later got the Gold Emmy for best free
That's right.
RPG.
That's right.
That was, I think, in 2014. Now, the thing is, and this is not a lie. If you go to like the Evil DM's website, he makes a claim that Mazes and Perils is the first Holmes retro clone, and it is only if you claim that it's still Home 77 with a new name. Home 77 was the first. I'm gonna leave it at that.
And then the guy who laid it out
Mm-hmm.
looked at it and said, "Great, I'm going to do my own." And that was I can't remember that name title of that in the game either, but it was a lot more.
Was that Blue Home?
Yeah, Blowhome. This is the guy who laid out Masons and Perils, and he looked and go, "Oh, I'm going to do one. I'm going to take this and do Blue Home."
Yeah. So, and listen, that's another lesson of what the OSR certainly is. It is building upon building upon building. All right, you're standing on the shoulders of those that came before you. Swords and Wizardry Light and Continual Light is because I literally stood on the shoulders of Matt Finch.
And he's a short guy.
Yeah, well, and I
Well, I didn't know he was short. Then
know,
again, I never physically met him.
yeah, but yeah, well, to Glenn, everybody's short. Glenn's the hill giant in the group, But the thing is, we're working. We're not reinventing the wheel. We are adjusting the wheel or changing the wheel or painting the wheel or tweaking the wheel, but we're not. The wheel is being built on the work of others, and that's what
We
the
are all
OSR
we
is.
are all we are all bards who tell the same story in our own way.
Perhaps not a bad way.
Yeah, but we're also, like, they start, the Arthurian uh, troubadours of the High Middle Ages. They took the basic set of myth and they built on it. Now, some of them grew more popular, like La Mort d'Arthur, the death of Arthur.
Mhm.
But there are hundreds of variations, with each troubadour taking their own take on it.
Exactly.
And and the thing that people the thing that the biggest challenge of the OSR was getting over people's conception that games are a form of technology. Games are games. They play as well or not as well today as they did back in the day. Now, maybe the presentation can be improved, but that's presentation. The system can still be that same system that was used back in the day. And that's, I think, is the main thing that the OSR as a whole, regardless of anybody's take on it, can pat themselves on the back for, is how to take these rules that sometimes were not explained very well and show how they could be fun, playable,
Yep.
and give at least a dozen alternatives for each of how to approach even the most obscure edition.
Right.
And that's the joy of the OSR. And you look back at the OSR
Mhm.
at the beginning of the OSR, and what systems were the ones that were cloned, right? You cloned AD&D 1E,
Hmm.
but
BX
you
and
cloned BX.
Bull.
You
Bull.
cloned
BX was
BX.
by far the most popular.
Well,
Beckme.
BX was cloned in two flavors. It was cloned with Basic Fantasy Roleplay, and it was cloned with Labyrinth Lord. And Labyrinth Lord went more for the atmospheric
The
look and
original.
presentation of the original. And then White Box, but it was White Box not really as White Box because it was taking parts of the first supplement with initially Swords and Wizardry Core. It took parts of Greyhawk, and then with Complete, it went through and added most of it. Complete almost feels like AD&D stripped down, which makes
Which, incidentally,
sense.
is how most people played AD&D in the first place. They had their campaign
Uh-huh.
using AD&D stuff, classes, spells, magic items, monster,
That
but they
that
ran it with BX rules.
yeah, that's why I like when I bought them, I got Advanced Labyrinth Lord and OSC Advanced because you can play it that way
Yeah.
because they converted everything over.
Let me just Mr. Gunn. Yes, Old School Essentials is a BX clone, but
Yes.
Old School Essentials is about a decade plus later. We're talking right now at this point in the conversation. We're talking about the clones or the simulacrums or whatever terminology you want to use that started the OSR movement. And you can look at the list and see when these clones came out, then people cloned the clones, right? It's like, oh well, let me tweak Swords and Wizardry to do X. Let me
Me, I'm
do
guilty.
so listen, so am I Swords and Wizardry and Labyrinth Lord got the most tweaking. I don't know of too many things that were built off Osric, but the
Well, you know
initial
why? You know why?
the initial intent of Osric was to be a publishing
A
uh,
reference.
reference.
It was not just that. I mean, this license wasn't completely open. They had half the rule book under the OGL, and the other half, which had some important stuff in it, they only licensed that under the Osric license because they wanted the
Uh,
AD&D preserved in Ember. While Matt Finch and Dan Proctor said our text is 100% open. Have at it. Open content under the OGL. Have at it.
and honestly, Rob, as a player of Osric, and I never looked at it to actually like make derivatives. I didn't even realize that, so I just learned something new myself. That's going to be an interesting video to do on Osric.
Now,
So
not
this,
everybody's going to agree with me on that, but I've seen it enough in the software open source world where there were two packages. One was that wasn't quite as good or feature filled as another package, but because the one that wasn't quite feature filled was completely open and the other one is only partially open, that that one, the first one was adopted as the standard, and it took a while for it to finally come into full flower, but it got there because people was able to keep iterating on it.
hey, Mark,
Hey, Mark. Yes, BX is always the answer.
you
Uh,
know, do you realize that had Stuart Marshall sent a copy of Osric over to Wizard so they could look at it, I don't think the OSR, I'm not going to say it wouldn't have happened, but it would have been severely
I
handicapped.
never. Here's the thing. Part of the reason why why Stewart and Matt made a good team is that Matt's a lawyer
Mhm.
and Stewart's out in the UK. So the UK was essentially a bit of a safe haven if Wachi was going to try lawfare.
Right.
And they initially sent, I'm not sure if it was a C&D or a polite, we don't want you doing this, you can't do this. But the response essentially was, what's the famous line from World War II? Oh, yeah, nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, not going to happen. And the funny thing about Osric is the intent wasn't necessarily for people to use it at the table, but I used the original first printing of Osric at the table.
Because they presented it better. It was AD&D,
Yeah.
but they presented it better than Gygax. Except the only thing it was missing, of course, was Gygax essays in the DMG and the Player's Handbook.
Yeah.
Right.
It was three books in one, better presented and readable.
And that is a huge part of the secret. Because I still remember in the early days of Osric reading conversations on forums, and it's like, yeah, I'm using this at the table. It's like, well, you're not supposed to. It's like, what do you mean they're not supposed
Who cares?
to? Who cares? It works better. I mean, that's why I was running a little plug for Rob here. I was running Black Marsh for the group that I play tested D&D Next with, and I was using the Osric rules. And I was like, you can use 1E. I go, my 1E stuff is packed up right now, but I'm going to use Osric instead of taking my stuff out of the closet for a simple reason that it's an easier reference guide.
When I go to North Texas, I don't even take my 1E books anymore. I just grab my copy of Osric and toss it in there. It's a lot lighter, and it's just easier for people to find stuff.
Yeah, you read the original for inspiration, given how Gygax wrote it. But when you
Right.
want to reference the actual rules themselves, Osric is far better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so after Osric, Basic Fantasy, and Swords and Wizardry and Labyrinth Lord, what was the next standalone RPG that's considered OSR?
I don't know. I know Axe
I,
was one of the initial ones.
I
Ruins and Ronin.
Oh my God, yes.
And then the next one after that was the World of On, ONN, Core
I had
World.
that. I bought that on Lulu. That was the
And these are all 2009, 2010 releases. Then we had Dark Dungeon and Backswords and Bucklers. And then finally in July of 2010, Weird Fantasy by Lamentations of the Flame Prince.
All right. So
Yeah.
now, Dark Dungeons, I believe.
I love Dark
Isn't
Dungeons.
that a rules?
That is an RC clone. That
Yeah.
is an RC clone, and it's a lot better organized, I think. I mean, RC is pretty well organized, but this one goes like a step further.
And
Yeah.
and that's something I think we should also really stress is that the clones are made with decades of advancement in the ideas on how to lay out a
A
book
lot of experience.
and how to write it and present it. So you're not getting hit with things that are still, I don't know, Wargaming 101, Wargaming 105, 110 classes. You're getting stuff that was written to be an RPG first, not building off wargaming. And I think that is another thing that probably I'll have to
I mean,
mention.
here's the difference. In the Rule Cyclopedia, if you want to do weapon mastery, you've seen that chapter where you got this double page spread of all the weapons, and you're trying, and little tiny print. You're trying to figure out what the advantages you're getting and all this other stuff. In Dark Dungeons, they give one weapon a page, and you can read it, and it's like, oh, you have a longsword, flip, flip, flip. Okay, here's the advantages for the weapon mastery, right? Instead of trying to go, I think it's a +3 at this level.
Right. And again, but see, now the reason why that is because most people that were getting that as a clone were getting it in PDF, or it was print on demand.
Man, yeah.
TSR was worried about page count, and they weren't going to be doing that. Mr. Gunn has a question about Tunnels and Trolls. Tunnels and Trolls is and I used to converse with Ken online because I bought a lot of his stuff on auction, his personal collection, including Tunnels and Trolls second edition, his play copy signed by Ken. Yes, Meinhardt has the first edition of Ken's sign, whatever. But literally, Tunnels and Trolls was Ken San Andre playing a session of D&D and going, "Oh my God, this game is great! Oh my God,
the rules suck."
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't say the rules suck. He's like, I can't find a copy of the rules locally, and I can't. Where do I get these dice? So he literally went home and said, I'm going to write my own version of this, only using D6s because I can raid my Risk box or my Monopoly box, and I'll have D6s.
Right.
And the rest is Tunnels and Trolls history. I'm a huge.
Well, I wouldn't call it. Yeah, it's a knockoff, not a retro clone. But Ken has opinions about how it ought to be played, and
yes,
reflected those opinions.
And some of it can be pretty obscure, in my opinion. Not obscure, but very like what?
So addressing the internal question is what is OSR and what's not. I found my observation over the decades, we can say decades now for the OSR, is that the OSR is classic D&D plus other things that creators are interested in. But those other things that creators are interested are that generally get part of the OSR are things that can be published for. So Tunnels and Trolls has its old school fan. There are a lot of people in the OSR who love Tunnels and Trolls.
Game.
But our ability to do things for Tunnels and Trolls is hampered because it doesn't have open content. It's under license. You have to get a license, and they're not going to be forthcoming to everybody. And so things that are not openly licensed, they just don't have the attention that things that are openly licensed. Or there's another exception. Or there's something like Classic Traveler, whose community never had a break in continuity. They have an existing fan base. They already supported. They don't need a renaissance because it never really went away for these guys.
Right, and there's an open license for that thanks to Mongoose. But here's a little side trek information on Tunnels and Trolls. Now, Tunnels and Trolls is no longer owned by Flying Buffalo.
Really?
And no, it was bought out when Rick Loomis passed. His estate sold Tunnels and Trolls. However, Ken St. Andre retained the rights to Munsters. So and Monsters is essentially Tunnels and Trolls,
But where you
but
play the monster.
you're playing the monsters. Now, if you play Tunnels and Trolls, most of your kindreds were monsters anyway, so it's not
Yeah.
necessarily all that different. And if you want to write for Monsters, the contract is like, I don't know, $5 to get a contract. So is it open? No. Is it minimal? Is it minimal cost? Yes. I'd actually looked into it and planned on it, and then world events, life events took me in a different direction. But I mean, it's Monsters is and Tunnels and Trolls is out of print right now, by the way. And there's always talk that, oh, we're gonna release it soon, and yeah, no, I
Even
haven't heard.
even deluxe.
They're all out of print because the company that bought them is going to bought the IP is going to, I am sure, 5Eify it in some way.
Well,
You
I've
know?
always got the impression that Ken had more interest in the monsters than he did the player characters. So
Yeah, and that, that could be it too.
But
But
that's why I see these. Whenever I see, I don't think that you should feel obligated to give away everything. But I think every OSR should think long and hard about at least making the core of the, especially if it's a major work. They put a lot of time,
mm,
open content. Could God forbid something happens to one of these people, and their work is just going to be disappear without somebody be able to
true.
pick it up and carry the flag further.
This is true.
Flying Buffalo did not go belly up. Flying Buffalo was sold. So Flying Buffalo was sold lock, stock, and barrel. That was part of the
Oh,
IP.
let me backtrack a minute. Zatran, how faithful is RC to the Dark Dungeons? Very.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Oh,
yeah. The IP that was kind of sliced off with the sale was Monsters, but everything else and all those original TNT adventures, I think, with the exception of World's Largest Dungeon, World Dangerous, whatever. Ken's favorite dungeon. He also got that one, and he reskinned it from Monsters.
Ken, yeah,
Yeah, Rebellion Games acquired TNT, but I believe they also acquired all the other IP. Now,
does that include
So,
Mercenary?
so the big question is, who's collecting all the money off the drive-through account for Space Opera in their game?
Space Opera,
Good.
what the Flying
Flying
Buffalo?
Buffalo? That was part of Fly. No, that was
I,
FGU.
there
What
you
Never
go.
mind, wrong
What
company.
about
Yeah.
Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes?
That would be that's going to
TNT.
be under Rebellion Games now.
Oh, is that also being not printed or?
Yeah, no. And listen, Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes had a Kickstarter, and then it was out of print again.
I
It
remember
was
that.
never going to be an active print. Listen, it's a good game. That's I believe a Michael Stackpole game.
Yeah.
Um, it's certainly fun, but listen, TNT is an acquired taste. Yeah, the company, just like TSR is gone. TSR got bought out by WotC, and then it got absorbed by WotC, and then WotC got bought out by Hasbro, but didn't get absorbed. So there's that difference of continuum there. You know, so like some companies are bought out, but they still remain a separate legal entity. TSR was totally absorbed into WotC.
WotC.
Just so you know, Mercenary Spies Private Eye can still be bought on Drive-Thru RPG.
Good.
Yeah,
And-
I'm. And the thing is, Rebellion and I haven't seen an update from Rebellion in I don't know 6 months, a year. It's been a long time as to what's happening with Tunnels and Trolls. So I just don't. I stopped even looking. But if you want to play something that is Tunnels and Trolls with the serial numbers changed, Monsters, and that's solidly in the hands of the classic team that was doing TNT.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Tunnels and Trolls for me is like, I call it my only RPG heartbreaker, because While I love the game, actually, when I started running it, there are a few things I'm going, how do I do this? How do I do that? And so I had some fundamental problems with it. Even
Make
though
it up, Glenn. Make it up. That's just
I
the
know,
politician
make
comes
it
in.
up. I'm a GM. I can do that. But there was
Tim says that to me all the time when I'm flipping through the GURPS rule book.
I just found that like there's a lack of player agency for a certain point in TNT.
Oh God, should I tell my story about Ken St. Andre?
Please.
All right. So a few years back, I guess 2015 or so, me and Origin is a 4-hour drive from from our houses in Meadville, and so it's doable. And we went to Origins one year, not the game so much, but to shop the vendors. So we just paid the pass to get into the hall. But so it was pretty amazing the experience seeing all this stuff. And but then Tim comes up to me and said, Rob, what? Guess what? What? You want to play a game with Tim St. Andre? The Tunnels and Trolls guy? Yeah. Sure, hell yeah. So apparently, Ken's group bailed and Tim was talking with him and said, yeah, I'm willing to run a game. So he ran a pickup session with me and Tim. So we sat down and we made characters and started playing. Now me and Tim, I do funny voices. I get into my characters. Tim will get into character. He's not as big into the acting, but he cares about characterization and stuff like that. So we do role playing. And Ken, for the first part of the dungeon, it was very obvious he was a tricks and puzzles. You had to be really on your toes figuring out stuff,
Right.
which is fine. We knew what the drill with that is, but me and Tim like to role play. So we did character. We talked as our character, commenting on what's going on, and the dungeon, the tricks and puzzles got really tough, and we were really having a hard time, and I went to him, in character. He was a dwarf, and it's I'll call him Zardon. Zardon, I don't know. This dungeon's really tough. I don't know if we can survive this. We need to get the heck out of here or something, or find a way, or we're going to just die here. And then Ken goes, well, if you don't like the dungeon, you can just leave and we can stop the session right now. Not in a funny voice, not in the voice he was using to run everything, but in a dead serious conversational tone.
Oh,
And
boy.
it sounded a little bit hurt. And me and Tim looked at each other and looked, and it's like, no, 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 no. We were just talking as our character. We were role playing. And he goes, huh? Yeah, we were talking our character's voice. We were role playing our character. Oh, you like doing that? Yeah. And he looked like we had two heads on each of our shoulders. And it's like, yeah, we had to kind of explain the concept of role playing as your character to him. We didn't get into deep because we kind of sensed that he was coming from his own angle. And so we didn't want to belabor the point.
Right.
But we got the game back on track and kind of toned it down for us. And it ended on a high note. Tim became the world's heaviest dwarf. And
Okay, fair enough.
we were
Well,
dumbfounded that Tim
wow.
Kane Under didn't understand what it meant to be role playing as your character, the guy who had been there since the beginning, and he was generally befuddled about what we were doing.
But you know what? When you think about it, what was Tunnels and Trolls known for when it came out?
Tongue-in-cheek references to
No, it was not. Well, it was known for solo adventures. Everything
Yes.
was a solo adventure.
That's another gripe I had about it.
So if
Way
you're
too
using
many
it,
solos.
if you're using it to run solos, you're not role playing,
Right.
right? You're not role playing it out. So that's what the Tunnels and Trolls adventures, and I have a couple of first prints of the early solos. I mean, they are literally, that's what it took. So it took a lot of work for me to initially when I tried to play TNT to find adventures that were written for group play
Exactly.
because there by Ken there's next to nothing. They're all pretty much solos. So he most likely enjoys his game as a solo player. And as Ben Mike says, Ken is not a very good DM, sadly. Well, because there's, I mean, listen, I've used ChatGPT to do an OSC game as a solo game. I've played it a couple of evenings for an hour here or there, and it's certainly ChatGPT has a bit more like flavor than a solo adventure because you can riff off it and you can go in directions that isn't expected. But at one point, I was like, "Are you fudging the dice rolls?" Because I wasn't having Tim's luck. I don't know whose luck I was having great luck. I was like, not. I mean, and then it had to point out to me where I failed my rolls because I guess you don't really pay attention to that stuff when you're and it's like it goes, I haven't been fudging. However, with encounters and reactions, I have been tipping the scale in your favor if it's middle ground, giving you success with difficulties or complications, and then it offered it. You could tweak it. Would I play that over a solo adventure? Probably, because I can go off the rails and it's going to have something. I'm not limited to two choices or three choices. I'm limited to whatever my input is.
I think that would really take off for people once they have an easy way of baking in procedural code into these ChatGPT. So imagine a future version of ChatGPT where you can have like you can make your own GTPs. You have a sidebar where you can insert a piece of dice rolling code and you can tell it anytime a dice roll is called for it, use that code. So it's not, see, right now, ChatGPT, when it rolls the dice,
Mhm.
it guesses what the dice roll ought to be. It's
Uh-huh.
not, it doesn't know what dice roll, it guesses what it is. So that's why you'll get these off of the walls in case result, because it will guess something different than a D20 roll. And so, but once they start to be able to have procedural content and the chat PT married together, I think people will really wind up liking it as a form of solo role playing.
Oh,
Do you think they could do? But do you think with Chat GPT,
Mhm.
could you get it to understand probability? Could you get
No,
it? You couldn't get it to understand probability.
That's weird.
I said the, the thing about ChatGPT, and I'm simplifying it, but the whole thing is when you type your prompt in, it goes through the neural net, which of course considers your entire chat history. And at some point, it generates a list of what they call tokens. But this list is a list of weighted probabilities. Then it literally rolls the dice, okay? Not a simple D1000 or D10,000 dice roll, but it's pretty close, okay? Then it cycled around and rolls the dice again on the next token, and that's how it's building up its response. So the side effect of this, the very easy way to see this in action, is to fire up ChatGPT, but in temporary mode, so it has no history. It doesn't know anything about your chat history, and just type in a simple, give me a two paragraph uh, story about a boy and his dog, and then do it again. And it will give you both times. They'll give you a story about its dog, but it'll be different story because it's like rolling up a traveler world. It's it's using the same data for both, but coming up with completely different results. So when it comes to procedure, anything procedural like running combat, coming up with character. It is guessing. It's making those random dice roll, and the odds are highly in favor of rolling 3d6 for strength, 1d20 uh, to hit roll. But there's always that chance that it will think it will say, "Oh, I must be." Somebody said it was 3d6 roll low, which somebody either incorrectly said or was thinking GURPS, not D and D, so it will use that 3d6 roll. that's the current problem with ChatGPT for RPG. So the way around it, of course, is to get somehow a modification of ChatGPT so that it will, at certain times, it will use a procedure, a piece of code, whether it's written in JavaScript, Python, and it will use that code exclusively to generate a character or generate a traveler world or to make an attack roll. And once it starts doing that, it will start to feel very, very much alive.
Well, I still feel that Project Sigil was banking on greater advancement in AI than we wound up getting, because Project Sigil, whatever they say publicly, they were expecting two things. At the very least, a random dungeon generator or a random adventure generator, because they bragged about how they have access to thousands of adventure modules, and that's what you're going to feed your VTT with, or your AI with. And I think that they were really hoping that they could somehow get an AI DM so you could play solo, play with a small group, the DM on demand, right? I mean, my old gaming group, who was my old D&D group from the 90s, 80s and 90s, they wanted, well, after we played MMOs for a number of years, they wanted me to run D&D on demand. Well, why can't we just give Eric a call or text him and say, hey, we're all going to play in like 2 hours? I go, because my life doesn't work like that, assholes. I love you. I love you, but I am not your on-demand DM. It's not like, hey, are we all going to play EverQuest for 2 hours? Are we good? No, yeah, but you got a DM, you got to prep. So that doesn't work. But if you had an AI DM that could be 90% of the way there, groups like that would be very happy with that ability. But again, that's banking on groups that are used to playing MMOs and making that progression to VTTs from that direction, not tabletop players that are playing on VTTs going to a VTT that's more like an MMO. If that makes any sense.
Sure. And you're right now, as it stands, ChatGPT, as far as I'm concerned, is the ultimate random table uh, we have for role playing games. I mean, I know Matt Finch does a great job
Oh
on
yeah.
his, like world design, but with ChatGPT, you have access to thousands of subtables, and they're incredibly liquor. So if you want 100 random Anglo-Saxon 10th century names, there's a reasonable chance they can do it, and most of them will be accurate 10th century name. It would be very hard pressed for an RPG designer to be that specific. And but just like using random tables as part of your design process, you have to approach ChatGPT in the same way. It may sound miraculous, but if you take those random tables, standard D&D tables, and plug them into a program like Inspiration Pad Pro and use it to generate 100 results, you quickly see the repetitiveness and the patterns. And
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's funny too, because like I did. It's behind a paywall. I'll go up tomorrow morning for everybody. But I did a video on AI as a DM, and I was going through my own thing, and I said, "Let me ask ChatGPT what it felt," and it felt as one of the cons is it will get repetitive. That you will, as Rob put it, it gave itself up, which is great. That you will at some point see pattern
Playing itself.
because it is not the human imagination,
No, never
and
will be.
and
now,
I
have you run into the recency problem in that it forgets things way earlier?
not yet
Like,
because I
let me
haven't.
rephrase that. It will forget things that when you started out, obviously that's not going to hit. But say you're like 1,000 lines of text into the adventure, it
Uh-huh.
starts forgetting the first 100 lines.
No, I haven't had that issue yet.
Okay. Well,
What?
they brought in the Windows, so
Yeah, but and what I found interesting was something that started out as because it asked me what kind of OSC, because figured, and it knew the OSC rule set, and I was like, okay. I go, I want to play a fighter. I let it roll my stats, which were okay. And initially, I hired a party of adventurers, all fighters, first level, to go with me. And the first two adventures were really dungeons, but then it started steering you on. You had a. Oh, I hear a dog. Hello, hello. You could either kind of continue with the adventures or go on the path of like Conan the King. Like you're going to go this way. And I took that path and it turned more world building in its nature and less dungeon delving. And it's interesting. It's again, I am impressed with its ability
It's not
to.
time yet.
Yes, it's not time to bug daddy yet.
Come on.
Come on, girl. Go to mommy. I'm impressed with its ability to flex, and then I wanted to do a Call of Cthulhu thing, and I only got into the first encounter, but I was in. It asked me, "Do you want to do 7th edition, Classic edition, or do you want me to just wing it?" And I was like, "I'll do 7th edition."
I did use it. I was having a foreign conversation, and somebody was referencing RPG and how it worked. Kind of, I wasn't getting it. So, but ChatGPT knew with the RPG, it was Burning Wheels,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't getting the points that the poster was getting at. I was just looking at Burning Wheels and looking at how I would use RPGs, and I want to understand what was the intent, what was the creative intent behind people using uh, Burning Wheels, and had a very long conversation with ChatGPT, and yeah, now I understand what the point of Burning Wheels is. Not necessarily I ever use it, but the
Right.
whole focus of Burning Wheels, in a nutshell, is that the campaign is driven by the fact that players' motivation and belief will be challenged, and it literally kind of puts it. It's designed to put your thumb on the scale so that that's what the campaign will always be about. It's not. It would never be. If it ever gets to a point where like a shopping trip is into play, it's designed to gloss that stuff over to get to the next conflict.
Interesting. Okay, I never did. I owned it, and then I put it on a shelf and never cared about it again.
Mhm.
I hate to say that. So I've seen that RPG Grandma mentions that like AI videos can be very repetitive. They certainly I you could tell the AI voice because it can't say certain things properly. Kind of like when you're driving and abbreviations screw it up. So it's like when you hear your GPS go, uh, merge onto Lie Expressway. No, it's Long Island Expressway. It is not Lie. That's come. I know but they
Yeah.
can, they only
Wait a minute,
include the
Eric. It
input.
is a lie. It's not an expressway at all.
No, but the thing is, they're only as good as whatever input they're getting. Now, one thing that I've certainly found interesting is if I need a thumbnail and I have an idea for a thumbnail, I will actually ask ChatGPT, listen, I have a thumbnail that I want for whatever type of topic I'm talking about. Give me 3 sets of prompts that will give me something relevant. And it
Wow.
will. And maybe they all speak to you, maybe none of them do, but if one doesn't or comes close, go in and tweak the prompts. And I'm not good at generating AI prompts on my own, but AI is pretty good at generating AI prompts. And I found it to be pretty interesting.
Well, I found it interesting. I played around with some public domain art, and when you have it generate, it just shows up a lot more in line art than it does painting. but it gets details wrong. They don't look right. But I was wondering, well, some of these old 19th century, early 20th century pieces are pretty clean.
Right.
Wonder if I don't like this knight's coat of arms. I ask him to put a specific. I like the general picture, but I want a different coat of arms. See what it does with it. It works pretty well for that purpose. You can still see the original piece, and even if it mucks up the original piece, the part where it changed is often close enough that you can copy the paste on the original, and you have a custom piece of art.
Would you guys like to see a piece of AI art I put in my zine?
Yeah.
So they
Really? Oh, you naughty boy, you.
I know, right? But
Oh, damn it! I don't have my pitchfork or my torch.
I know. Well, Mojo, it's called Mojo AI. I use Canva, so I do all my design in Canva,
Yeah.
and so I just put in there. I said, "Can you give me a large giant?" Maybe I said hill giant, but I said a large giant throwing rocks at goblins, and I thought that was a pretty good. And you can choose.
Not bad.
Not
That's
bad.
not bad.
The right hand only has four fingers, but you know.
That's
Well,
a giant. Maybe
there's a story behind that. He lost
Yeah,
a finger. But in doing that, and by the way, I also put on the bottom it says AI created AI art created with Canva, so it's right underneath
right.
the picture itself, so people can see.
Right. So you're not stealing anybody's mojo. Like, listen, the random party generator graphic, that was AI generated.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You know, and I listen. Am I a huge fan of AI? It's a tool. Okay. Now, I do 1 or 2 videos a day sometimes. I there's no artist that's going to keep up with me, and let alone do it for free, because I make I can't. But the money I make off of the YouTube, the big bucks, and on a good month I break 100, and I probably spend close to that on apps that make the channel work. So it's a great way to do some quick thumbnails, and I see that Joe Stone does it for his podcast, because honestly, I'd rather do that than borrow somebody's work from the internet, because you do a Google search and go, "Oh, that one looks good," and you're grabbing somebody else's stuff. No, I don't like the idea of doing that. But would I, again? Rapperty Grandma was talking about YouTube videos that are AI. Yes, that AI voice annoys me, because you can tell. Yes, it'll repeat at points on the script, certainly, and or it will be off. And there are, I get ads, unlimited AI generation of videos for money making. It's like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way people are going to make money, is AI videos. Now, but the thing is, even people like I don't know if you follow Cash Jordan. He used to do real estate videos about New York City. Now he's all pivoted, usually to, seems to be the migrant situation. But his video thumbnails are all AI, because they're over the top. But that's what people get drawn to, right? It's over the top thumbnails. So, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I find it, again, it's great for helping me turn some bullet points and bits of text into an outline that is comprehensive enough, or it will find things that I missed, but I would never rely upon it, because if it misses stuff and it's writing it for me, then I'm might not even catch it. Like I said before, I missed Basic Fantasy RPG in my initial video. It missed it, and then I had to ask it, did we miss anything? Because I think Basic Fantasy RPG comes into this place and goes, "Oh, yes, I missed that. I'm sorry," and then spits out a bunch of stuff. Well, again, it's as good as the input.
Now I want to brag a little bit. I was right about what companies would get busted on.
Oh, the $1.5 billion lawsuit?
Yep, because they did not get busted on training off the data. They got busted for pirating the data, which they did.
Yeah.
They downloaded a trove of umpteen million books off the internet. They never denied it, and it's not definitely not that. That was never fair use. Now,
And
unfortunately, the consequence of this means the only company able to now engage in serious AI researchers are those with enough capital to actually go out and buy the books themselves.
if you're an Amazon publisher, you better look at your contract because I am sure if you're on Kindle, you've given up some rights.
And
But
there will be some of that going on as well.
here's the thing: that $1.5 billion settlement was rejected by the court.
And you know why? I read it. I read up
Yeah.
on it. So
Point it, Rob.
I read the settlement, and each author would basically get $3,000. However, to qualify for the settlement, um, you had to have a registered copyright. How many here who have published have registered the copyright book, yet had our book downloaded illegally?
Right.
Now, according to the law, technically, just like Diamond Distributors is doing all this technically with the UCC statement, technically we have no rights to recover damage for somebody. All we can do is cease and desist. But from what I can tell, and I could be wrong about this, the judge is not liking that idea at all. He's seen all these works that have been downloaded, and he's seeing the list of people who will benefit from that. He doesn't like it. He wants more people. He wants to make sure that
Everybody.
everybody benefits.
What about authors who, and I don't know where this actually started, but authors now put in their books and RPGs and everything else, do not use for AI training. So I don't know if that puts if it's any validity to give authors more power to say, listen, I don't want you using my book or my words to train AI to write more books like the way I write books.
Unless they accompany it with I wouldn't say an OGL, not like unless they accompany with a license. But all they can do is license the right to copy their book. So if they release a book, don't put anything. Nobody can copyright it. Okay, nobody can copy it. All right, only the author and their agent can distribute it. So, however, you have the right to resell that book. You have a right to make a copy for your personal use. It's only when you hand it to another person that you violate the author's copyright. So so the question of do you have the right to take that book, scan it in, and train it off of it? But you're not, even if you give that model away, the model does not have a literal copy, even a compressed form of that book. That's not what the training data is. And so since you're not distributing the copy, the author doesn't really have a say in it. So that text is meaninless. And that text would be only enforceable if they were granting license for people to copy their books in the first place. So sure, I could if I wanted to let people use my RPG system, I could make the Rob Conley license say, if you use this in your product, you're not allowed to use this work as a training data. Sure, that's a legit, and that means whoever used my work can't use it for training data. But really, all that pertains is making a copy of it or incorporate it in their own work, and that's not what AI training is.
Interesting.
Very.
Yeah, AI is that wherever AI is
One more point.
advancing
One more
so
point.
fast.
It's not settled that it's fair use. Okay, so they could decide, and I would view it as kind of like an arbitrary decision because you're not making a literal copy. But they could decide that it is a literal copy, that you treat it the same as a literal copy, and therefore it's not fair use. So that it still could be go that way. Hasn't been tested, I should say.
Fair
Right.
enough. Well, this is certainly a sandbox today. So what else is going on in the
Yeah.
gaming industry? What have we missed? I mean,
Well, I went to a gaming store in Pittsburgh, a
mhm,
really nice one called Games Unlimited.
okay.
It was the one I went to in college in the 80s. They moved to a different location in the same neighborhood. And when I last visited it, the RPG section was all but gone. They were pretty much selling board games and puzzles, which was a sign of the time, to be fair. It was the 90s.
Yeah.
RPGs weren't doing that well. But I went in this time. Not only the new place is awesome, it's like wood panel, and they have a really nice RPG corner now. And they have spinner rack full of third part, indie stuff and OSR stuff.
Was that at that place in Squirrel Hill
Yeah,
where I stayed at Starbucks? You could go ahead and get parked and go to your place.
yeah. Kellyanne gratefully bought some pastry at Starbucks so we could park there so I can go. The parking was terrible. But what's interesting that D&D 5e wasn't even in the main display.
Really?
Pathfinder was, Pathfinder 2e. D&D 5e was in a little side bookshelf on the bottom two rows.
Wow.
I have never
Sign of the
seen.
times.
That's interesting.
That is.
Yeah.
Places like I don't know if anybody has a Second and Charles near them. Second and Charles is a part used bookstore, part record store, part nostalgia bait
Oh, nice.
place.
They probably sell movies, which would interest me.
Well, and they do. They sell quite a bit of movies, a lot of Funko Pops and stuff like that. But they have, when I go in there, they have 5e pretty predominantly placed. So, for what's that worth? But they also have good used stuff as well. I mean, got people turn their books in and whatever. So, sometimes you're able to find something fun, some little things slipped in between the books, that kind of thing that you might find, a module or something like that. But 5e, at least as far as that store is concerned, where I'm at, they tend to it's pretty prominent. In fact, there's probably no retail Pathfinder. There's very little. I would say there's very little retail of Pathfinder, not used stuff, but retail that they'd sell.
Huh. Well, I mean, listen, if Pathfinder and 5e are no longer going to be the bullies on the block, does that mean that there's an opportunity for other third parties to step in?
Oh, yes. I would say so. I would like to see that.
I mean,
I don't know if a major company, I don't know if there's even a want of from the consumer necessarily there to be a large publisher of an RPG. I don't know. That's my sense, is that that's over in some way. I think because people have, it's like finding Napster or or LimeWire. Like you're like, hey, look, and I'm not talking about free stuff. I'm talking about just the ability of choice that's out there, that nobody cares if there's a major publisher of a singular RPG that is to rule, the one ring to rule them all, type of thing.
So in the Barnes and Nobles, there's a lot of 5e. Oh, by the way, this is the game store.
Oh,
So
2 stories. Wow.
yeah, and the RPG section is beyond the lady in the black dress.
And you know what? It's not like it's not like the complete where you're going to get claustrophobic. I like that.
Yeah, so this is Squirrel. This is in everybody. This is Games Unlimited in Pittsburgh in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood, And it's fairly easy to get there. I wouldn't say it's very easy to park there, but it's fairly easy to get to. So
Too popular.
Interesting.
but I notice in the Barnes and Nobles, they have a lot of RPG books, but they are like this book of maps. They're by companies I don't normally hear about, but they're really I don't say they're quality books, but they're really production wise, they're really well done.
Oh yeah.
The full color and stuff. And it looks like there's I don't know, a bunch of places. I don't reckon I guess mills that just produce these on demand and offer them to bookstores. I'm not sure what their deal is.
Interesting. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's a changing market. Oh,
Books like these.
Yeah, that's one of
Oh,
them. That's one
yeah.
of them.
Oh.
I got something like that. I got on a Kickstarter. Those are really nice.
And the artists doing them, I don't hear about them. I don't know them.
Yeah.
A nice tavern there.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, books like these are I mean, there's double ones. There's in fact at one point, I think my wife picked this one up at Target
Uh-huh.
for $6.99, $5.99. It
Uh-huh.
just happened to be on sale. So
Hang on. Shit.
and like you said, Rob, there's maybe less core rule books and less even supplements, that kind of thing, and more of resources, it's more like expanded to just like they want to invest in the resources of RPGs, not necessarily the RPGs themselves.
I would agree with you. And right now, what I'm sharing with you, if you don't mind, Eric,
Yep.
this is at the height of the 5e craze in Barnes and Noble. The Barnes and Noble had a complete table like this, all decked out. They had and here's
Oh, yeah, I've seen
a
those.
table of auxiliary, and here's the first book of the battle maps, because this was taken a couple years ago. Here's another table. This is how it used to be, and this is how. So basically, how far the mighty has fallen.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all fun. Yeah, so. But anyway, here's what I got.
If I knew this was show and tell, I would have brought something.
Oh, look at that big one! Lots of water.
Got one with a ship on it too, but I don't know where the hell it is. Look at the lighting in here. It's really nice.
Does that lay flat? I mean, how are you supposed to use it?
It does lay flat. That's the thing. I mean,
Wow.
this
Is
was
it
a
wire?
This was a no. This was
Oh.
Wait a minute. Did they have a book of tiles?
picked up. Yeah, it'll
Did
lay
they have a
flat.
page of tiles in there?
Yeah.
Well, how are you supposed to use that? Cut them out?
No, I know what you're talking about. No, I got these with them too. It's almost like
Color forms?
yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, Eric, you missed that then, because
And I got two of these books.
Damn.
And lay flat. I remember the Kickstarter because the guy was like, okay, we had to redo them again to make sure they laid flat. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I have those.
and the reason why I got those because they have it's right here. Because they have the same thing right
Yeah.
here. And I thought that's a great idea. I haven't used it yet, but because all my gaming's on the VTT these days. But yeah, I thought that was very useful.
I used to love my color forms. I had the Peanuts color forms.
Did you
And,
now?
and the case is really nice too.
I think I had GI Joe color forms.
You probably had the 6-inch
No, color forms, not the
action team, 12-inch action team.
You know,
I
they
had-
actually they
had
did-
the 12-inch GI Joe with the with the kung fu grip.
Kung Fu
Oh,
grip,
yeah.
right.
hey,
Although
TSR
those Kung
actually
Fu grips did
licensed
not last.
TSR actually licensed D&D color forms, believe it or not.
Did it?
Oh, look at this, a sunken ship.
Oh, that's nice. That's pretty
Wow.
good.
Yeah. There was one here I really wanted to show. I can't remember where it is. It's not easy book to look through, but it's oh, look at this.
Well, that's
Ooh.
looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. This was from Yarrow Studios. Yeah. Dry erase finish on every page, 1-inch grid pre-printed, and they lay flat. Like I said, I got 2 of these, so if I wanted, side by side, I got like twice as much. The only thing I don't like about it, it's heavy. It's hard to carry the cons and stuff,
So, yes, Dino, it's interesting. My purchase history over my gaming life. As a youngster, I could only buy from Walden Books. For me, it was
Oh yeah.
I had Dalton's,
I remember Hastings R.I.P. too.
and Hastings. Now it's direct to the creator. As I prefer to give my money to them. I had a local game store that I used to travel out, and local, I'd hop on a bus, and it was like a mile and a half from my house. But
Right.
or I went into the complete in Manhattan. And I will say now I do most if I'm shopping and it's not on Kickstarter, I am
Uh-huh.
buying either direct from the manufacturer or I am buying it from Amazon.
Right.
I gotta admit that.
Right now, it's most Kickstarters and once a year at North Texas.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm spending less and less at North Texas every year too.
Well, that's because I usually go and I go, oh yeah, I got this. I got this 2 years ago. I
Mhm.
still need to read it. Son of a. What? You're laughing, Flint? But it's
Well, I always think that I always have to ask myself, do I own this?
yeah.
That's what you're saying. Do I already own this? There's no way. Like I've called my wife. I said, babe, go downstairs and in the 4th shelf and the 3rd book and the 33rd thing over here, would you look please and see if I have this? And so she, does it for me, and I have to then find out if I have it or not. So I can.
She's not crazy about doing it, but it does save her a lot of money.
That is, well, yeah.
She's like, okay, that's money that can go to perfume or hair care.
Yeah, I did buy. I was trying to get the entire run of the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society, and just because I saw a couple on eBay and I thought the prices were really good,
Uh-huh.
and they were because not a year later they went up like 5 times. Um, but in my rush to collect, I only had my original collection from back in the day only starts with number 17. And so I had 16 to track down, and I forgot which one I got. So I have 2 duplicates.
It happens. It could be worse. I think I picked up the FFE reprints on that one. Huge, but I gotta still look at it and read it.
Oh
God help
boy.
me. Isn't
One
that
of my favorite things I got was the Well, I got 3 of the 4 volumes, which drives me crazy. But I got IDW Comics reprints of all the old DC Comics Dungeons and Dragons,
oh god, yeah.
AD&D, the AD&D comics. What I liked about the first year they did them, or the first volume, in the back, whatever they give you, the bad guys stats in 1E. They give you the magic items featured in the story in 1E. And
Okay.
so you got like stats in the back of the comic, which was really nice. Still looking for volume 4.
I think Jeff Grubb was the main writer for that.
I believe he was too. But they're gorgeous, and they read like a D&D game. Like you're doing one comic arc with these characters, and then like the next one, there are maybe 1 or 2 characters from that group, and there's a few different people, like players, rotating out of in and out of a campaign. It was kind of cool.
West March is like.
Is that what they call it?
That's what these cool kids are calling it now.
Yeah. What? I've heard of West March's like stuff, but does
All right, so the reason why the cool kids are talking about it now is because Critical Role is going, we're going to do our next campaign, West Marches, and all that means for Critical Role is that people are going to drop in and drop out.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, wasn't there a West Marches campaign
The
published out there?
The West Marches style is that you basically you're ending every session at
A safe
I wanted
spot.
I wanted to say a save point, but I'm thinking computer RPGs. But in any case, a save spot and real time happens in real time. So we don't game for 2 weeks. 2 weeks passed, and if your character is doing something that takes 4 weeks, well, guess what? You're gonna have to have another character for that session. Um, but I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think that Critical Role is going to be sticking to that. And just as an FYI for the viewers, listeners, yes, I already have an outline of a West Marches video, but I've never run one. So it's taking a little extra research to make sure I get it right. But I have the outline for it. But we'll probably see one on Targa or Yiddish before that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Targa.
Targa.
The great hope of the OSR.
Yeah, and your Dungeonist suck. Okay.
And I warned them when they started. They invited me, and I warned them. If they overreach, it's just gonna. You should limit yourself to providing support for those who want it, and not get
Yeah.
into anything editorial. But
Yeah.
nope, they would
No.
not listen to me.
It was certainly an overreach. And as a quick side note, when Targa was burning or it was imploding, Matt Finch was like, half jokingly, we should appoint you the major domo of the OSR. And I was like, Matt, I appreciate the thought, but he who wears the hat of leadership in this community is the first one thrown over the wall. Don't want it. Don't want it. I'm happy to have my little my flagpole. I'll have my standard, and if you want to be part of the Tavern community, that's great. But you don't. This isn't the one true way. There is no one true way.
No.
Nor there should be.
Nor should there be. That's just we're a big enough. We're a big enough household to allow everybody to sleep on the floor.
That sounds like a con. That sounds like a hotel room at a con.
No. That sounds like a hallway at a con when I was younger. I know.
Eight people in a room that holds 4 with at least one guy across the front of the bathroom door. I call him the guardian of the bathroom.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The reason why, it's not because we're necessarily that stubborn. It's because literally, let's look at the logistics of it. All of us, there are obviously, not all of us are Renaissance people. We need help with the layout. We need help with the art or something. But basically, we're all a bunch of one-man shops.
Yep.
We can afford, at least, even for a modestly produced project, you only have to spend a couple $100 to get that out. And that's, if for a hobby, that's not that bad.
Right.
And what this means, though, we could say, fuck you to anybody, because we don't have to rely on some publisher to print that 1,000-copy print run to get in the store. We're not beholden to anybody. And even if we don't realize it consciously, it's always in the background. Nah, this isn't worth it. I'm just going to go do my own thing. And it's not a bad thing either.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Oh. Well, I think that we may have found our natural save point.
Okay. Can I save here and reboot the game later?
No, you can reboot the game later. Yes, put your floppy in. Okay, make sure you have your special wheel so you can save Pool of Radiance right where and then you got to come back in. And when you change dungeon levels, you got to make sure that you get line it up. Or
I thought I had the book saying. I thought I had the book where the on the screen it said, "What's the third word in the 4th paragraph on page 5?"
Yes, I remember. they had different schemes for different games, and that was the most annoying part because I had a Commodore 64, so I had about a 1 in 5 chance whenever I had to swap discs that the game would crash. So yeah, it was me. Sorry, 64C because I had the upgraded keyboard. It didn't look as
Ah,
clunky. It
okay.
looked almost modernish for the late 80s. Glenn, thank you for joining us.
My
Flint,
pleasure.
Nice to have you join, Glenn.
yes,
Thanks, Rob, and thank
Flint,
you guys. I mean,
great, thank you.
boy,
Rob and I, by the way, in 2 weeks will be at ShireCon.
Yep.
We'll be what do you call it? Roommates. Well, next door roommates
Yeah.
because we'll be sharing an apartment. We'll be sharing an apartment for the weekend, so there'll be grand party stories,
oh boy,
or not because Rob
oh
doesn't
boy.
drink.
I
So
don't drink. Yeah.
yeah, Rob doesn't drink. So and I don't slide down banisters anymore like I used to.
Anymore.
And this and that used to be a requirement in my job, but you know, not anymore. Get too old. So, folks, if you're going to be at ShireCon, Rob, you're going to have a table, right?
Yes.
Find Rob's table, buy his stuff, is good stuff.
It is.
Other
I
than
can
that,
vouch for that.
join us in one of our games. We'll both be running sessions, and continue watching the OSR video series that I've been doing. There's going to be a bunch of this, and it's going to be reviews. By the way, I have things I have to review. I got a card game I got to review. I got some zines I got to review. There's a lot of stuff that has to get done. Only so much time in a day. I am gonna try to up the video count to 1 video a day on the live stream days and 2 videos a day on non-live stream days. We'll see if I get there.
And you'll see me in the daytime ones.
Yes, we're gonna try to get a daytime live in either Monday or Tuesday. Monday or probably Tuesday. I think I got a vet appointment Monday with the doggy.
Yeah.
So other than that, as always, be safe, be well, God bless, and roll those dice and roll them well. Forgot also too. Sunday afternoon, Joe Block's Kickstarter for his Adventures Dark and Deep Light. Still like 100 pages or so, but it's he's stripping down Adventures Dark and Deep to a more, I guess, easier to grasp for the gamers. The Kickstarter is launching on Sunday afternoon. I believe I'm going to be on his channel around 3:30. Joe the Lawyer is going to be on around 4:30. You're going to see a lot of people popping in, popping out. Join us. That's the Greyhawk Grognard's channel on Sunday. I know I'm everywhere. Other than that, again, be safe, be well. God bless, follow us, well. Yeah. All right, I already said that. Bye.
Good night, folks.